we record this.
Memory lane auction.
Ending. Yeah, it'll be ending as we're recording. Interesting stuff, some fun stuff to watch. It's a good day.
What's your favorite auction house?
Oh wow!
Before we do that, best sports card podcast in the world. Please like, subscribe, share, and leave a comment or leave a review. We love you guys. Welcome back to episode 594 of Lucas Tigers and Bronze. Back to you, Cage.
You know what's fun? I was in a Discord. I was in there a bunch of times today, and people were sharing stories. And people were like, "Oh, and Andrew, here's some ideas for Andrew on weekends like this where there's no sports," with quotes. And one of the things they asked us to do, I think we definitely do this. One of the things that they asked us to do was kind of do like an in-depth cardboard analysis of a specific player. Think about their cards. What was it? Have they gone up? Have they gone down? Mostly for like retired players. And I said I had done that once before regarding Jeter cards on slab stocks, and link them to the YouTube video of it. And it kind of went down a rabbit hole in Discord where people, a couple people were like, yeah, that's how we found you. That's how I watched that video of you guys. That's how I found the podcast. And, I never had a podcast that I could listen to, more than a couple times. And you guys, it's the perfect content, the whole 9 yards. And it really got people talking about what you were discussing yesterday, right? And about collaboration in the hobby. Some people took it a different way. A couple people messaged me and told me some stories about collabs that they've done in the hobby that are a little different than yours, more content. New York City cards. I'm not saying his name wrong, but he's the one that's doing he's a teacher and he's doing the cards in school. And I sent them some cards for the kids in the class. And of course, I'm the idiot that sent like 90s basketball so he could teach him who Hakeem Olajuwon was. But he says they've got 4 different groups going now in different schools. And, they're expanding it out with other classes. So I guess, he's a teacher and he brings in basketball cards for his kids in the class. Maybe they do something good in the class, or they have like a club where they trade cards and that kind of stuff in school. There might have actually been one that actually went to Bleecker this past week. But in any event, he messaged me and he was like, yeah, there's plenty of collaboration in the hobby. I've got other schools doing the same kind of trading group and that kind of stuff. And I love hearing about that, but I know that's not what you meant. What you meant was there's a lot of other people out there with platforms. You know what I mean? And that, like Slabstock's calling and inviting me, or you were on a wrestling podcast recently, right? About wrestling cards and stuff. Like that's the kind of stuff I think
that's pretty laughable, but it's fun to get different people's perspectives who don't collect wrestling cards. But it just came up with an idea. It would be cool if you spoke in schools. You know how like every once in a while they bring in like a guest speaker and it's like, how do trading cards, how does this matter? How does this impact your life? What can you learn from it type of thing?
You muted.
If those are after school programs or whatever, but it'd be cool if you went in and gave a little speech, had some fun with the kids, brought Ian.
I would love it. I would totally do that. Listen, it's amazing. I guess because I'm old and fat and whatever else you want to throw onto the equation, and I've lived a lot of life. I can't believe I haven't run out of stories yet. 593 episodes into this. I still got stories. And you go down this road and I have a story. I have a story. I was that asshole kid who elementary school would volunteer his dad for everything. The teachers would be like, hey, whose dad would jump off the building? And I'd be like, my dad will do that twice. Yeah, let's go. Just volunteer him for anything. Whatever. I remember once I volunteered him for, to do scenery for our elementary school play. We did Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I've definitely talked about this before. And he went to school and he worked for days and he built these huge, like floor to ceiling, 12 feet high panels that there were like 4 or 5 of them that they hung from the rafters. And the first scene was, in Charlie's house, and it was like, a kitchen and a background. And then after intermission, you were able to spin them around, and the other side of the same panels had the Chocolate Factory with like candy on the walls, like all kinds of crazy stuff. It was amazing. I'll never forget it to this day. Like, I don't know how the hell he did it. I couldn't do it. So my kids better not volunteer me to do something lunacy like that. But anyway, it was really cool. And I remember going back to the school, decades later, and they were still using that scenery. They were still using the same setup, the same stuff.
What was your dad's favorite card? What was your dad's favorite card to collect?
You know what's funny? My dad collected cards as a kid, and he he just lost them all, like Playbill and put them in bicycle spokes. His favorite player was a Brooklyn Dodger by the name of Carl Furillo. So not somebody that anybody's gonna know, but that was his guy. He was a Brooklyn Dodgers fan, which was weird because obviously, I like the Yankees. Brooklyn Dodgers and Yankees were kind of rivalries. They were rivals in the 50s, so that's a little interesting. He was a huge Duke Snider fan, which was great for me as a young kid trying to buy him Father's Day presents and birthday presents, because Duke Snider got into some tax problems where he owed the IRS a lot of money. So his autographed baseball was like $50, $30. It made it easy for me to go out and buy. Like, I didn't have to buy a mantle ball for my dad. So that was great. But that's not the story. Here's the story, right? I volunteered my father for career day once. My dad worked at the New York Stock Exchange for a long time, like his whole career. And so he went in to talk about, what it was like on the trading floor and what he did and, how he watched the trading and you name it, the whole deal. But my class had career day early in the morning, and it was lined up for career day to come in, 4 or 5 different sessions of different grades. And I'll never forget the teacher going up to my dad at the end of my class saying, we've had a lot of parents cancel on us. So would you mind staying and, doing, a couple of sessions? He's like, all right, I took the day off. And I didn't see him for the rest of the day because we moved on, we went back to our classroom, and he stayed in the auditorium. So he came home that night. I remember him telling a story. He was a fireman. He was a stunt man. I mean, he basically just, all right, I'm a fireman. I put out fires. Meanwhile, if you saw this guy, it's completely unbelievable that he'd be a fireman. He was like 6'5", like 350 pounds. Like, he'd carry out a fire, definitely, but I don't want him going up a ladder or anything like that. It's been not a good thing. So anyway, I guess he pretended to be a million different things a career day. And you're in elementary school, you buy it. I'm a farmer.
What I'm hearing is he's always supported you, and it's kind of the relationship you have with Ian now. Like, you guys are best 100%. Buddies.
100%. Well, I would do that. I would love to go to school and pretend.
Did you and your dad have matching haircuts? That's the question?
He had a very good hairline. So we definitely went. I had the kind of haircut he had when he was my age. Right now, I don't think he probably would have something like this if he was still around. Dad hasn't been with us for like 20 years. So pretty much. Staten Island Slick would be a good nickname for him. I should have called him that. But anyway, I digress. But it was a good idea, and I think we're going to start doing that. And I've started already. I have the research. I already have 5 cards built up for what we're going to call Cardboard Relevant, and figure out how we're going to deliver that to Luca Nation. And, do kind of a deep dive on 5 cards. Well, I'm going to do 20 at least, but I already have 5 done with the research, the charts, 3-year, 5-year, all kinds of fun stuff of cards that I think, if you come into some money and you want something safe in your portfolio to offset some more prospecting, some rookie stuff, soccer guys.
Give me one. Can you give me one?
You want one right now? Sure. The one I researched today, 100%. So Cal Ripken was one. Cal Ripken Jr. was the one that I researched today. 2 cards, right?
How come we've been in the hobby for 2 years and I've heard Cal Ripken's name like twice? It's crazy.
Yeah. But he is like, he's an all-time great, and he's like buying a savings bond, right? And the 2 cards for him, the 82 Tops and the 82 Tops Traded. And it's an interesting one. We've talked about this. It's one that actually bucks the trend. People tried this with basketball cards. You talk about the 81 Tops that has the Magic, Bird, and Julius Erving, the 80 Tops one. And then you have the 81, the one the year later, where they finally have Magic and Bird by themselves. And I'm not saying that's a cheap card, but, the PSA 10 of Magic, going in for a layup, people were paying a lot of money for that and saying, oh, that could be a better card than the. So the same thing here. In 82 Tops, so you go from the traded one first. That's the trade. If you go to the 82 Tops, you'll see that it's a Baltimore rookie card with 3 pictures on it, sort of like a Future Stars type of card. There it is right there. And Cal's in the middle, right? Great card.
Bob Boner. Bob Boner's on the card.
That card was actually in the regular set. You can get it in packs, you get it in the complete set. And then they gave him his own card in the Topps Traded set. And that's the one you pulled up earlier. And that card there's not a lot of those in PSA 10.
$397.
Yeah, it goes for like $5,000. But if you pull out the chart here, forget about the spike. It's like everything else. If you just go, you'll see that you take that spike, shave that spike right off the top. You'll see that it's one of these like steady growers. It's one of those things where, that card, when I got back into the hobby, they were everywhere for about $2,000. I never picked one up. The other one was about $1,000, maybe 800 if you were lucky, you could find one. And they basically just go like this. This card's probably $5,000 or $6,000 now, the top's traded one. And in a couple years, it'll be a 5-figure card. It's just one of those things where you can just lock it up, and 397 of these. If you believe, forget about whether you think the hobby's going to 10x, right? If you believe the hobby's going to grow, this is one of those cards the population is set on. There's not going to be way more than 397. Could we get to 402 in a couple years? Sure, right? But it's not the kind of card that anybody sent to BGS. It's not BVG. And while there probably are a couple in SGC, this is one the pop is where it is, and people know who this guy is. You know what I mean? He became even more relevant because of the little leagues named after him. Cal Ripken leagues. That's like a certain age of baseball. So that was the one I researched today. Those two, I have some ideas. Believe it or not, the 9s are touchable on those as well, and they have very similar charts. I'm trying to take the research and bring it down a little bit, because not everybody can afford a 4-figure card in this whole cardboard relevant. But you just gave one away for free, man. You gave one away for free. This is going to be like bonus stuff. But it's good that we did this, because my play today is a little.
What makes him cardboard relevant, right? So like Mickey Mantle, he's out of sight, out of mind, but one of the greatest players of all time. Cal Ripken Jr., one of the greatest players of all time. But there's also the provenance of behind the cards. They were thrown into the Hudson River.
Well,
is there a
point?
Yeah. Right. Is there a point in time with Cal Ripken that we look at him as Mantle? Is this a $50,000?
No, it won't be Mantle per se. I mean, I don't know if he's got a kid who might play or something like that. Keep him relevant that way. But he comes from a baseball royalty family. His dad was a manager. His brother played. He played. And it's one of those things where he's definitely relevant that way. But I'm going to tell you, shortstop, great hitting shortstop. A ton of hits, over 3,000 hits. Why he remains relevant, I think, is for people like you, right, who might not have seen him play, but preach. Or how about Buster? Buster, who's Hoop Nation, right? He preaches no days off seas. This guy will one day be the poster child for Buster's no days off seas. I know it's not a basketball player, right? But in a time of load management, take that and be as dirty as you want about it. Cal Ripken was the poster child for consistency. He set the record for consecutive games played. He broke Lou Gehrig's record. And he didn't take days off. He didn't stop playing. He showed up every single day and gave it his all and played as an all-star. That's the kind of thing that carries over. And, it's something that remains relevant in the future. And maybe there'll be an Iron Man type of player who will chase that record. Doubtful. But maybe there will be, right? And if there is, Cal Ripken's name becomes relevant again. People don't play 162 games for multiple seasons anymore. It's just not something that happens.
Baseball's tough. Like I used to. So for a short period in time, I was making money refereeing soccer games. And if anyone who referees indoor soccer specifically knows you don't move around a lot. No. And just standing still for 3-4 hours was harder on my body than running around for hours. I couldn't explain it. And baseball, think about it, 7 days a week.
Ball, right? It's like a different ball.
For sure. 7 days a week of baseball, some days it's 6. Of every day you go out there, you do batting practice, and you stand in the field, the hot sun. So makes sense. I want one topic, tactical, very specific. Let's help some people out. So I think raw cards are going to come back. I think the issue with raw cards is not that we don't want to buy raw cards, is that over the last year and a half, there hasn't been a good place to exchange them. Mercari had a blip on the radar, or whatever I call it. eBay's messaging service is like predates AIM. Terrible. I'm excited.
I think it actually does predate AIM. That's why.
Really literally. It's not even Messenger, Cage. It's literally emails. You have to go back and see, what did this person say? And with raw cards, we all know condition is so important. And we don't need to know this is going to be a PSA 10. All we need to know is, does it have a chance? Is there any, blemish or something that as the seller, you could let me know before I buy it so I could make an informed buying decision? Help people out.
For people who don't want 10s and people who just want the cards, people want it for their collection. And as long as you're being honest and you're saying this is what it is, it's a place to buy. Go for it. I get it.
Help people out right now. How should they, step 1, 2, 3? How should they think about it? Buying raw cards in 2022. how should they do that the right way so that, you know, we
Well,
can help them
listen,
send an SGC?
you've done a little research on this. Maybe we have them on the show. Who knows? But you know, we talk with My Slabs, right?
Yep.
Aren't they bringing out a raw marketplace now as well?
Yes, they are.
I didn't research it crazy today because I was knee deep in Cal Ripken, but it does look like they are doing a similar model to what Star Stock came out with when they kicked their platform off, and you know, grading the cards basically like, hey, you know, they're not doing the grading; they're asking people to do it. It's almost like a self-policing type thing. You know, put it in, no returns. You know, I think this one's got a chance to 10. I think this one's not going to 10. I think this one's near mint, you know, with letter grades and that kind of stuff, and be a marketplace for raw, which, you know, you put enough pictures in there and whatnot, people can make their own decision. But I do believe that there is a need for that in the hobby. I mean, people do want to buy raw cards. You know what I mean? And if you're not going to kill the fees, and we talked yesterday a little bit about eBay raising their prices, raising their fees, and it's going to be a kind of, you know, here you go, here's the card, done. My Slabs, let me ask you, raw cards, they're not going to be housing them, right? It's just now another place like eBay for a seller to list their cards and sell, right? You don't have to send it to My Slabs, right? Okay.
You don't, no. It's just a platform, and there's a bit of like the self-grading mechanism involved, like just give it a borderline criteria. But I always pull up comparable PSA 10s, BGS 10s, and SGC cards before I buy the card, and I try to compare them side by side, right? Because centering on different cards is different. Like with a border, like the Topps Kobe card, for example, that one's very easy to tell if it's centered or not. But cards with no border are a little bit harder to self-grade, especially virtually. So I always like to pull up, you know, what does a perfect gem card look like on the front, on the back. I don't know if you do this, with shiny cards, I'm a little bit more lenient with surface issues than with paper cards, because sometimes shiny cards have surface issues because people don't wipe them down properly. You know, a lot of the times, Cage, it's actually dust that's on that surface that's caught. It looks like a blemish to the naked eye. But so do you go through that process? I mean, you've looked at thousands of raw cards.
Yeah.
Is it
Yeah.
crapshoot?
Yeah,
you can. Yeah, it's just a crapshoot.
Sometimes things sneak by, right? We have, you know, I'll reveal them tomorrow at 10 a.m. on Whatnot. I'm going to go on. We're going to do a little basketball talk
You're
about
pumped
the
for that.
All-Star game. And I am. Only because we got our SGC stuff from February back. And we have one person who subbed 3 of those Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, you know, the cards with the two guys together. He subbed 3 of them. And, you know, when we were doing group sub, I was wiping the cards down. I was doing this. I want to get them in. I want to get them back. I want to, here you go. You know, I'm not even taking, if people send them to me in a plastic, whatever it is, I'm putting them together, and I'm putting them in, and I'm sending them. For March, I'm going to take a look at the cards.
Okay. I'm a big believer.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in this. I always use a fresh penny sleeve and a fresh card saver.
Oh, yeah.
And I even put those like little Post-it notes to make it easy for the grader to take it out. Yep. I did this, Cage, from the first day I started. And the reason someone said that is because when you come off as professional, the grader sees that and he's like, okay, I'm working. This isn't just like some Joe Schmo that's sending me cards. This is someone who wouldn't send me cards that, you know, he didn't review himself or she didn't review himself.
So my first bunch of bulk subs, I actually used a label maker and labeled the you know, like, you know, I mean, maybe you don't know, but it's like a Brother P-Touch. It labels. It actually prints labels.
And you put the full card name?
And no, when you did a PSA sub, it was supposed to be sub 103-562/1/2/line 1/2. And I labeled every 250 cards I labeled with a label maker. I can go grab. I still have some of them. Like, they sent it back with the label on it on ones like my Derek Jeter, where they said was minimum size. They sent me the card saver back with the label on it. I can show it to you. I got like, it's like a, you know, it's like a clear, you have the black number on the card.
Go get it. I'll go into my play real quick and go get it.
You want me to go get it?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, all right.
So my play, guys, is a little different. And this is not a space or a sport that I know really well, but it's honestly, with no NBA, football's done. There's a little EPL soccer today, so it's fun to watch Tottenham City. I started watching hockey. And one guy that people have been talking about for a very long time that I think that they're going to be in the playoffs and they're playing well and they're streaking is the Edmonton Oilers. right? So before the season, everyone was talking about Connor McDavid, the Oilers team, but they ran into some issues earlier in the season. And I don't think they were playing as well as they could have been up to their potential. Now, remember, I'm not a hockey guy. This is mostly secondary research. So go and, do your own research. But I think this team's on a 5-game winning streak now. They're in a good position. I believe they're going to make the playoffs. Of course, you don't know in hockey, and it's a completely different game with their like overtime scoring and all that. But as of right now, I'm going to look at their conference. They are in 7th place, 28, 18, and 3. So in the West, 7th place, but they're only separated by, let me see here, 4 points between them and the Minnesota Wild, who is in 2nd place. So think about that. 59 points. Minnesota Wild, 63 points in 2nd place. And let's just even go Calgary, 62 points. So separating them is 2, 3, 4 points. And I think this is a team, McDavid's going to get MVP. I think they might find a way to get into a 2, 3, or 4 spot. They're on a 5-game winning streak, playing a lot better as the season winds down. There's 32 games left. I think if there's ever been an opportunity to buy into McDavid cards, it's now. So let me pull up his chart for you guys. His card, the Young Guns, is the typical card to get with his, but Connor McDavid, PSA 10, higher pop than I would expect. Higher pop, but if we're comparing this guy, I would say he's probably the Giannis of NHL. Now, you guys out there, send me a DM. I'm learning hockey, so I'm probably making a ton of mistakes here. Feel free to correct me. But I would say that this is a team, and this is a guy, MVP, young team, streaking, reminds me a little bit of the Grizz team right now as well, if we go to NBA comparison. The card is pretty expensive, $3,500 for his PSA 10. Highish pop, but what I'm seeing, if you look at his chart here, it's been relatively flat. It's been relatively flat. This card has been as high as 4,000 at different points. Now it's 3,500. I think what the people are waiting for is to see a little bit of a playoff run. Something in the playoffs that could, kind of separate him from, all right, this is a good regular season guy who puts up a lot of numbers, to this guy could do some things. And so I think what's holding him back is playoff success, not individual success. And when I'm starting to see the team come around, play a lot better, the young guys step into actually, I believe the goal leader isn't even McDavid. It's the center guy from Germany. I think it's worth a look. Now, I don't know if the Young Guns card is the card that you're going to be able to afford or that's the card you're going for. But I think McDavid in general right now, take a look at his market, do your own research, take a look at the charts. There may be inefficiencies. Hockey is not something we talk a lot about, but I do believe, and Jay Lee would know a lot better than me, so shoot him a DM. He's always responsive, always welcome, always wants to help people. This might be a play. This might be worth taking a look at. If you want to diversify a portfolio or get into hockey, this might be the way to do it. Now, as we wait for Cage, this is why live is always the best. There's always people commenting or whatever. So I'm going to pull up the Discord, see if we have any questions to go over. Cage. Here. Coffee with Cage episodes. I do want, so there was a question by our audience, and we've been getting a lot of DMs about this as well. So they asked, are the changes at Star Stock indicative of a hobby-wide problem of maintaining a viable marketplace for raw cards? Or do the changes just represent the decision of one company to move in a different direction, or both, or neither? Here's what I've seen, and I've talked to a few people I really respect in the hobby. When an industry booms like it did with the hobby, it incentivizes a lot of short-term behavior. What I mean by that is there was a lot of money flowing into the space, both from cards going up in value, people buying record-breaking cards or record price-breaking cards, and at the same time investment. So when you see that, oftentimes businesses are built to get the next round of investment, not to acquire customers or not to build a community or not to build a long-term relationship with those customers. So I actually don't think it is indicative of the hobby at all. I think the hobby needs a raw card marketplace. I think the team, the person, the business that does that will have a lot of success. Maybe raw cards in and of themselves aren't profitable, but it adds a huge service and it allows you to build a relationship with your customers and build loyal customers that you could then turn into other business opportunities. Real quick, I think what the issue with StarStock is that they were doing short-term behavior in a market that needed long-term growth building. So, Cage, the question was raw cards and StarStock pivoting away from them. Is that indicative of it being a poor business model to facilitate raw cards, or is it?
No.
And that's what I'm saying.
On something.
Well, I think a lot of businesses, Cage, in the last year, they saw investments come into the space, a lot of money come into the space from buying cards to investing in businesses. And I think that incentivizes people to build short-term versus long-term. They want to build for the next round of funding versus how do I really build a value add to my customer and slowly over time grow like the old-fashioned ways.
Listen, sometimes the first go round on something isn't the right way to do it. I forget, I was talking to my daughter yesterday. We went to 7-Eleven, and I was talking about something, and she's like, well, they're not the first ones to do it, so they're not going to be the best ones. And I'm like, why? Do you use MySpace? She's like, no. So maybe the StarStock model now, and listen, we wish them luck, but maybe the StarStock raw model, maybe the problem with it was housing everything. And maybe MySlabs gets second mover advantage watching that, maybe the way that StarStock did it, they can improve on it by using a marketplace type of thing, self-regulating, raw, grading, but now grading not done by MySlabs, grading done by the seller with it's going to be kind of like a no returns, but, the seller's going to get one strike and you're out kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like if you get a complaint, wow, this guy said it was a potential 10 and, I got it. It looks like a 6. You know what I mean? Or a 4.
We are friendly with MySlabs, Cage, and they do review every single seller thoroughly. So we're going to have them on the show, but they do that. They invested heavily into customer service too.
So really quick, I'll just throw this one up. I don't know if you ever basically even be able to see it. I put the white behind it, but you see there's like an actual label. See, I would put the label on there with the order number, the line number. So it's difficult, but it's like this got sent back to me on PSA.
Were you worried? You took longer than expected. Were you like, Andrew's gonna sink or swim?
No. I had to go down to the basement and find it. I've been cleaning because I've been putting lots together. Like tomorrow and whatnot. In addition to some slabs, we're gonna do the SGC reveal, and I'm gonna sell some SGC cards. I'm giving away a LeBron Kobe tribute dunk in an SGC slab to one of our followers. I can now click. You must be a follower in order to win. So make sure you're following Luca Nation on whatnot. Otherwise, you can't win. You can try to enter the giveaway, but it won't let you unless you follow. So I got that. I got some other cool slabs, SGC slabs. And I put together some lots. People were talking about it. I got like a lot of 20 Giannis cards, a lot of 20 LeBron cards, a lot of 20 Luca, a lot of 20 Trey. Just some all-star stuff. I'm sure it's not going to sell for a lot. If you brought them to a show, you'd probably sell them all for $2-3 each or whatever it is, and they'll be not. But I'm sure people are going to get them for for chump change tomorrow. But it's cool. It gets them out of my basement, right? So I found that yesterday when I was doing it. We'll go from there.
My play. Can I tell you my play real quick, Cage?
I thought that's what you were doing. But before that,
it was a hockey play.
Wow, give me 1 sec. We could talk to MySlabs about this. I wonder if there's a synergy there. There are people with a lot of cards at Slab Stocks. I keep calling it Slab Stocks. At StarStock. I don't know what you got there. I can't see it.
Luca Nation, 4.98 stars.
Yeah, it's a full 5.0 rating. My rating's 5.0. I don't know where that 4.98 comes from. Somebody gave me less than a 5, I guess. I don't know. Everybody gets free.
It's curved. It's curved down to the rest of the sellers, the ones that do giveaways, don't give cards out. So they can just curve it down.
I don't know what it is, but we did our giveaway. I mail everything out the day after.
You don't know what curving down is? Like when in school, teachers would grade with a curve. So
yeah.
Never?
I don't care.
You were in law school.
I want perfect. I don't, and if you're gonna leave me anything under 5, you gotta message me and be like, here's why, and I'll take care of you, because that's some bullshit. But anyway, so I wonder if there's a way for people who have their cards at Star Stock to sell them on my slips. Like, I wonder if there's a way to do that. Like,
dude, no one wants to work with Star Stock, man. No one wants to work with them. They're shit.
Ooh, he stopped.
You should see the messages I get. Well, no, I mean, we get messages, and I feel bad because someone's like, I requested my cards back, and they're charging me $400 for 800 cards. Okay, brought that up. Now he requested a withdrawal via PayPal, and it's taken him 2.5 weeks to get his money. So, I mean, but
took me 2 weeks to get a check. 2 weeks.
Here's how I see it, guys. At the end of the day, the truth comes to the forefront. People are who they are. And I would just use this example to look at who runs this company, who's behind the company, who's associated with the company. And I wouldn't do business with those people. So that's how I look at it. It sucks. It's terrible. We will do everything in our position to try to make sure people are made whole. But at the same day, man, it just shows people's true colors and what they're all about. And it's a data point. You check that off, you say, okay, that's who it is.
So tell me about your hockey play.
All right. You don't want me to keep riffing on. Dude, it was Connor McDavid. I don't know hockey, frankly. And his card is pretty expensive. But if you look at the Oilers, 5-game win streak, 7th spot, 7th seed in the West, only like 3 games separates the 7th and the 2 seed. And I think they remind me a lot of like the Grizzlies team, maybe. He always had the individual performance, the individual stats, but people, I think, in the market wanted to see a little bit more team performance. My issue, and I think this is more of a play of like go do your own research versus buy this card. The Young Guns card is still expensive, Cage. It's $3,500 bucks. And it's not low pop. There's 2,200 of them. So it's like, okay, the market's waiting for this guy to take the next step, but the entry point to buy in, it's pretty high anyway.
So what's your play?
I mean, sometimes this is my play. The discussion. I don't have all your fucking answers. If I had to know how to make $1 million on every card, I would be a millionaire. So the play is, with NBA being All-Star break, football over, I've been watching hockey. I know that the Oilers and McDavid were always, cardboard relevant. People just wanted to see them perform. They're on a 5-game win streak. They're surging. They're playing well. This might be a good time that if they get in the playoffs and they can make a little bit of a run, do you see this card go 2,500, 3,500 to 5,000? I don't know. Do your own research. Okay. Get to know some people in the hobby. Message Jay Lee. He knows hockey very well. Pick his brain. Say, I can't afford this card of McDavid. What do you recommend? What's the hoops version? What's the second tier? And learn.
I like it. Who do you think wins the NBA Slam Dunk contest tonight?
Cole Anthony.
By the time this comes out, Cole Anthony. Okay. And you're excited?
Miles Garrett.
Why Miles Garrett?
Did you see him dunking in like the celebrity game?
No, but good for him. So Miles Garrett, it's amazing. So you think it's cool to see, an athlete in a celebrity game dunk, right? He's, athletic and all 9 yards. Do you think that's a cool thing or no?
I don't know how to answer that question, but it's not
obviously
a cool
you brought
thing.
It up. You brought it up, so you must have been like, wow.
You asked me who's going to win the dunk contest, and I said Miles Garrett because he's dunking in the celebrity game.
Would it be cool to see Miles Garrett in a dunk competition? I mean, what are some other athletes you think would be cool to see in a dunk competition? Maybe who's a real athlete?
Cage Lawyer.
I'm not an athlete. I'm the opposite of an athlete. Dude, go with me here. Miles Garrett. I like the play, right? I mean, he's an athlete. How about the Watt brothers? You think they can dunk? Think they could put on a dunk competition? Maybe, they're athletic. How about
probably not.
Like Trout? How about Aaron Judge? He's a tall guy. You think Aaron Judge can maybe dunk? Maybe Mookie Betts. Mookie Betts, that's an athlete. I know he's a little shorter.
Mookie
but
Betts
he
is 5'7".
Nah, Betts can dunk. Betts is a great athlete.
Right.
And a 300 bowler. Oh yeah, trust me. Who else? So who else could you see do it? Who else could you see? I want stars. I want big names in their respective sports, right? I want
Nick Foles. Nick Foles could definitely dunk.
You think Nick Foles could dunk? I mean, he's not a star. He's a scrub. No, seriously.
He's got as many championships as Patrick Mahomes. and as many as
that doesn't make him a star.
Aaron Rodgers,
Trent Dilfer, and Joe Flacco too. But I don't think any of them can dunk. All right, so I mean, what? See, it's tough, man. It's tough to even envision this because of the money these guys are making now, the contracts they have. I'm even surprised Myles Garrett was out there able to play. You know, I'm sure his contract probably has some provision in it that he shouldn't be playing pickup basketball, but I guess maybe something like this they gave him an exception for or something like that, right? My play today, believe it or not, you lead me into these things without even knowing. And guys, we didn't talk about our plays. I didn't know he was going to do hockey. And I definitely didn't know he was going to talk about Myles Garrett. But what if I told you that there are dunk competitions? And guys, I want you could take a minute when I start talking about this and just go on YouTube, right? And when you're there, make sure you like that smash button for us and you subscribe and do all that fun stuff. But what if I were to tell you that there were dunk contests that had Deion Sanders, Ken Griffey Jr., and Barry Bonds all in the same competition? What if I would, dude?
Well, that's crazy.
Pull up the 19. So in the 80s and 90s, right? The 80s and the 90s, Michael Irvin, Chris Carter, in the same one, the 80s and 90s, Foot Locker put on something called the Slam Fest. All right, and in those competitions, the guys I just named were in them multiple times with like a $50,000 prize, and it would sell out, and tickets were crazy, you name it. And I'm going to tell you something. These athletes can dunk. My favorite one was in 1992. And it's great to talk about this now because you guys are going to know this name, right? You guys have watched Mike Conley play basketball. He was an all-star last year. That was Mike Conley Jr. In 1992, Mike Conley's dad, Mike Conley, before there was a junior, was an Olympic gold medalist. He was a triple jumper, all right? He won the 1992 Foot Locker Slam Fest when people like Cedric Ceballos and Dee Brown were actually dunking in the NBA competition. His dunks were better, right? If you want to, go on YouTube and pull up 1992 Mike Conley dunk. He dunks from beyond the foul line. I'm not talking about like Michael Jordan, half a shoe on the line. This guy jumps from before the free throw line and dunks the ball. It was in the finals, him and another Olympian. I forget his name. A track star. I forget his name. Is it Powell, maybe? Maybe Powell. Yeah, Mike Powell. They were in the finals together, right? And he, these guys, Powell was a long jumper. Conley was a triple jumper. You can pull this up, man. I don't know what you're looking at.
I'm just reading the comments.
Mike Conley.
Damn, that was legit. Mike Jr. didn't get the lines. All right, here it is.
Mike Conley dunks from behind the free throw line. 100%, man. You can take a look at it. There it is. And that's it. Foot Locker. And there he goes. Takes off behind the free throw line and dunks it. That's the Foot Locker Slam Fest. That's Mike Conley Jr. mom. Now, you watch this. You can pull up. Well, he knocked out a cheerleader. You can pull up. Deion does a toss. Ken Griffey Jr. has a slam in this. I'm telling you, man. Chris Carter won it. I think he won it in 1996.
Dude, from behind the foul line. Legit behind the foul line.
Like I said, not on it, not touching it, not a toe on, like behind.
Kate, he looks so surprised too.
Yeah, I mean, but you get a little adrenaline. I'm telling you, you gotta watch, man. Griffey on this cool video on this, right? But it just shows. Actually, it's back then. It was a different time. I don't know if the contracts were different and people were more willing to do this. I don't know what the deal was. But think of what names you'd have to have this happen today. Like I said, Deion, Griffey, Bonds, right? Michael Irvin, Chris Carter. Irvin, he could dunk too. I mean, you got to watch some videos on this. So, part of it is to bring you guys some stories, not just about my dad, but about things that I watched as a teenager, as a kid. These were huge events. And I will tell you, the 92 Foot Locker Slam Fest was a better event than the NBA dunk competition, which I think was Cedric Ceballos. And he did this he put a blindfold on that he could clearly see through. It was pretty dumb. But you got to see these guys. I mean, these athletes. Would you like to see one with Julio Jones, Lamar Jackson, like Aaron Jones, like, these guys? I mean, Aaron Judge, these guys dunking. I don't know. What it would be, but I mean, think of how crazy with social media, it would be an event, right? It'd be nice to see it. So it's just a cool thing, guys. I like to bring up stuff for you, that you probably didn't even know existed. Probably didn't know Mike Conley's dad was a legit Olympian and he could ball. He had bunnies, man. He had the hops. There was a rumor back then that he was going to sign with the Hawks and it never actually happened. I'm telling you, in the 90s, because you do something like this and it's like, get him out there. Even if only for the dunk competition, let's get him out there for the spectacle of it. I'm telling you, it's worth, a 15-minute YouTube session for you guys to pull out some of this film, some of this footage. I bring it up on,
How would you guys find out about this stuff? Like, would you be watching this on TV? Was there?
No, this was a main event, man. Like it was narrated by like Dick Vitale, and Wilt Chamberlain was a judge. And they had like programs. If you went to Foot Locker in the mall, which people did, when you want to buy your Jordans, you want to buy shoes, you would go to the store to watch the store, and they'd have when you were in the store, they would give you a handout. There'd be a flyer. There'd be a poster up about this year's Foot Locker Slam Fest. You could get tickets to it if you want. They had programs, and you know what I'm about to tell you? I don't think they had it for '92, but if you guys go on eBay, 1991 Foot Locker Slam Fest, they had cards. And there's a Ken Griffey Jr. slam dunk card from 1991. There's Bo Jackson, because he was in 91. There's Barry Bonds, right? Go take a look at this set. But here's a cool way. I didn't buy it because I love you guys, and maybe Andrew will buy it now because he doesn't go to the same rules that I do, right? But maybe the first person who downloads this and listens likes it. There's actually a sealed box. Yeah, there's the limited Foot Locker. 100%. What a cool, set of cards here. You got that's 91. It's not the 92 thing I'm talking about, right? But in 92, they're there. I'm telling you right now. I saw this, and the cards are cheap.
Look at this.
You know who Steve Timmons is?
No, look at his haircut, dude. He looks like a dead fella.
So I'm pretty sure Timmons was a volleyball Olympian. You can look him up. There he is. See, we talk about volleyball. I know some volleyball. I'm pretty sure he was a volleyball Olympian. So here's the best part, right?
Oh my God.
And they're graded. PSA grades these cards, by the way. But if you go right now, okay, and Andrew, I may have you buy this and we can just give it out to people. I don't care. Or maybe somebody listen to buy it. If you type in 1991 Foot Locker Slam Fest, there is a factory sealed case of 30 sets on eBay right now for $99. It's just 30 complete sets. I mean, you're talking about like, a buck a card here. I mean, it's 1991 Foot Locker Slam Fest limited edition factory sealed case of 30 sets. It's so, I mean, there's a Bo Jackson, a couple of Bo's PSA 9s, $100, $140 on eBay. There's programs.
$299 for Griffey.
So what do you got there? There's other years of this too, but 1991 Foot Locker, you got the set there, But these are $1 or $2 a card that people don't even know about. It's a cool thing. $1.25 for Ken Griffey Jr. You buy that card, you don't have to grade it. You put it in your case, or when you go to a trade event, or whatever it is, you show people. People don't even know this. People don't even know this event even happened, or that a card like that exists. It really is an interesting piece of history that I'm only talking about because it happens to be today. The slam dunk contest. But Heisman Trophy winner Tim Brown was in it. There's a lot of these sets on there. That $99 one you just found. I mean, I'm looking at one that's 5 sets for $50 or best offer. I'm looking at one 30 card set sealed, even less, $52, right? 30 cards.
This would be fun to break on Whatnot, Cage.
I mean, it's just an interesting. You ever heard of Eric Dickerson? Had 2,000 yards in a season. He's in this set. And if you want to really get nuts, dude, you can get that Eric Dickerson signed a couple of these. It's like $30 for an 1989 Foot Locker Slam Fest signed Eric Dickerson. And here's a fun one. I mean, it's graded by a crappy company. The 91 set that I'm sending you to, there's a Wilt Chamberlain. Well, Wilt Chamberlain card. He was a judge. You know what I mean? Like, it's an interesting, cool little piece of hobby silliness, right? Here, 10 factory sets for $30 of 1991. People just don't know this stuff exists. And if you're a Bonds collector, it's oddball. But you probably don't have this card. If you're a Griffey collector, you probably don't have this card, I'm pretty sure Barry Sanders was in it. It's something that I guarantee no other podcast is talking about. But when we get to do these daily shows, it's Christmas. I pull out a Kobe card in his Santa outfit, right? It's Valentine's Day. I gave that damn Michael Jordan Valentine that went for like thousands of dollars in PSA 10 in an auction recently. We're here, we talk about the different days. Well, it's Slam Dunk Contest Day. And I really did want to, make something fun because Andrew yesterday, he had me kind of like off my game a little bit with the whole, what are we going to talk about? What are we going to talk about? There's no sports, Cage. What are we going to talk about? Let's just look at each other. So I said, I want to bring it today. And you made me work because I gave my initial like Cal Ripken one. I wasn't planning on doing that. I was going to put that behind the paywall for our Tiger holders only. But we gave it away today. Who's in the 91 set? Carl Lewis, another Olympic gold medalist. I mean, it's just some cool stuff.
It's a collector item. It's a collector item now.
It's different, man. Deion Sanders, Griffey. Look, he's like a kid. He's in the league for a year and a half. He's like a 21-year-old kid. But even if you don't go with the card set, which it's just funny, nice little stroll down memory lane, take a look at this kind of set, maybe, grab a complete set and put it in your collection for a couple bucks. Do yourself a favor, after watching whatever dunks go down tonight, take a look at this. Take a look at the, pull up some footage from the 91. The 92 was my favorite one. I for some reason I have a recollection of 92. I think it was because Conley was a Olympic jumper, and the dunk contest in the NBA kind of got a little silly. From 85 to 90, basically it was Jordan and Wilkins just battling against each other. You know what I mean? Back and forth, who was going to win it. And then it was like D. Brown pumping up his shoes. And I said Cedric Ceballos put like he put like a blindfold on himself of like, it might have been like plastic wrap, saran wrap. You could totally see through it. He was not blindfolded. He would have fallen. But anyway, these were better. People don't even know about them. So it's just, something a little different to chat about,
So, final thing. Guys, can you do me a favor? So, Brody the Kid, I don't know if you guys know him. We saw him at National. He's one of the younger influencers in this space. We didn't get a chance to meet, but I don't know if you saw Cage. He's been in the hospital. He hasn't been doing well recently. He just got out and he's feeling better. Show him the power and show him the love of Luca Nation. Brody the Kid 1 is his Instagram. Go send him some love. Good kid. People speak very highly of him. Send him some love. Send him something. Little DM.
The kids in this hobby are the most. Remember the kid we did meet at National? Right? We were like, where the hell are your parents?
The 13-year-old quoting every single comp.
Yeah, he knew his comps by heart. That was pretty crazy.
He did.
These guys, they know.
Are comps completed sales or comparable sales?
Well, it means comparable sales. Comparable sales, 100%. But you would figure every sale has to be completed. So. Compass.
It's both.
It's
any final words?
It's more like a real estate term, like comps for houses that have sold in your neighborhood, that kind of stuff. So it's one that's carried over into the hobby. Any final words? No, I've had a lot of words in this one. I hope you enjoy it, guys. I mean, you don't just have to look at the 91. I mean, Bo Jackson was in it almost every year. That dude was a beast. He's got baseball cards and football cards. He's got an 88 Foot Locker card that kind of predates his football cards. He's got baseball cards before, but I mean, it's fun stuff. So guys, let us know what you think about this craziness that I bring on these episodes. Dumb stories, talk about buying Foot Locker cards. If you want me to not do that, we'll keep it vanilla. We'll keep it here's a card play. But I have a feeling you might like this craziness that you only get here. I don't want to be preachy, but I think we do, something a little different than what anybody else brings here. And, maybe it's because I'm old. I love telling these stories because, I mean, I'll bet you 90% of you guys woke up today and didn't even know this thing existed. And I'm betting you, if you spend 15 minutes on YouTube, you can find this stuff and be like, holy shit, imagine what this would look like today. Right? Think of the athletes, the Olympians that get in it, right? Think of the other sports that we get in it, I mean, picture like Ronaldo, Duncan, maybe, right? Probably not Messi, probably not Messi. He's a little tiny, but maybe,
it's
Mbappe,
fun.
Duncan.
These
are the names. Look at these names. Anyway.
You think today that people are too worried about injury?
Yes. I think their teams are probably too worried about injury also. And they make a lot of money. This was the 80s. I mean, they were making money, but it wasn't that kind of money. You know what I mean? Not
It
an
was the type of money where like you wanted to go show up and make more money. Now they make so much money they don't need to go show up anywhere and make any more money.
Well, I mean, I bet you that if you wanted to take the time and look, well, especially like somebody like Mike Conley, you know, who's an Olympian, they weren't making any money. You know, he was getting whatever money Wheaties would give him for going on a box. But even the other guy, I bet you, Griffey Jr. in 1991 is still on his rookie contract. I bet you he wasn't making a ton of money back then, and winning $50,000 in a slam dunk competition or a $25,000 second prize. It's not. I mean, it sounds stupid now. I spent that money on a Ken Griffey Jr. card. You know what I mean? So there's the thing like Ken Griffey Jr. is out there, buying. It sounds a little silly, but it's a different time. It's 35 years ago. Money was different. So,
are you coming to Culture Collision?
Ian's working his magic. He was asking if we could walk to Atlanta today during dinner. How long it would take us to walk to Atlanta? Yeah, he's working on it. He's working.
Road trips are fun.
I'm not driving to Atlanta. Get out of here.
Ian suggested it. It wasn't me.
Get out of here. Yeah.
Is he working on any Legos recently? Any sets?
No. He presented that Russia, project this week. There's one kid in his class. I don't know if he's Russian or not, but all about it. He's like, can Ian go? I know Ian's not supposed to go today, but can he go? Can he present on that? So we told him, I think this week he's supposed to, well, they're off from school, but next week he's supposed to be able to take that project home. What's up, buddy? You okay? He's supposed to take it home. We told him, why don't you ask your teacher if you can let the kid take it? We don't want it. You know what I mean? Like he built it. He doesn't want to keep it. Let
the cathedral. He brought that into school?
Yeah, that's part of his project.
You drove him to school with that?
Yeah. In like
was he holding it on his lap?
Protected. I packed it in like I was packing an SGC sub. Like bubble wrap and stuff.
I have $1 million idea. What if Lego came out and created like 50 greatest moments set where like the Michael Jordan Fleer card, that would be in the Lego set, but a little 3-dimensional.
I think like a cross licensing thing. That would be pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool. Believe it or not, it's funny the way your brain goes with that stuff. Like if I were Leaf or Infinite, whoever it may be, like Carvin's company, and you can't get a license for the league or the sport. I wonder if they could go to Foot Locker and pay for a license for these cards, for these pictures, these images. Imagine making a set now, like a throwback dunk set, and you'd be able to put a set together that has Griffey and Bonds and Deion Sanders and all these guys in it today. That's licensed.
You want to buy this set? I could see it. Like I could see it in your eyes.
I can't believe I don't own it. I can't believe I don't own 50 of them already. Yeah, I mean, I knew about the competition, but before today, I did not know about these cards. So yeah, I will definitely own some. But I always give Luca Nation a chance, even though these are $1.
Crazy, right?
Yep, there's enough to go around. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those oddball things. You don't know it's out there. So lots of fun. Hope you enjoyed it, folks. You want to say hello? You want to say goodbye? What do you want to say? You want to say something fun? Leave them with something memorable?